Welcome to the Hawks Talk podcast. All things Blackburn Hawks.
In behind the defence, cuts around, scores! Blackburn Hawks win this game 8 goals to 5.
All the latest news, player interviews and much more.
Shoots, scores!
Hawks Talk.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Hawks Talk podcast. How are you all doing? I hope you all had a great summer and are very happy to be back in the rink watching the Hawks. It's still very early days in the season, and at this time of recording, we've played 5 competitive games, 3 of those in the NIHL Midlands Cup, which resulted in 2 losses and 1 win, and the remaining 2 games were in the Morley Conference, which resulted in 1 win and 1 loss. That sees us at 4th position in the Morley Conference, but as I said before, it's still very early days in the season and there is a lot of hockey still to be played. We've got a great interview coming up really soon, but firstly, I just wanted to remind you of a couple of things. If you haven't already, download the official Blackburn Hawks app. It's available on both Apple and Android devices, and it's the best way to keep up to date with all the latest information on the Hawks, the latest news, fixtures, and much more. You may have also seen the addition of the Hawks cheerleaders at the rink for home games, just adding to the great atmosphere we already have at the barn. If you're interested in signing up and are over the age of 16, send an email to cheerleading@blackburnhawks.com and they will get back to you as soon as possible with all the relevant information. So moving on, it's time for this episode's interview.
Hawks Talk.
Joining us on this third episode of Hawks Talk, we have Blackburn Hawks head coach Mike Clancy. Mike, how are you doing?
Really good, thank you.
We've also got Hawks forward James Parsons.
Hi, how you doing?
And last but by no means least, returning Hawks player Gary Dixon. Gary, how are you?
Not too bad. The sheriff's returned.
You'll have to tell me what that's about later.
Yeah.
So we'll start off by talking to you, Mike. Tell us about how you came to be involved in the role and what attracted you to coming to the Hawks.
I suppose the want to get involved at a really good level from a coaching point and from a compete point. For me, the draw was meeting Carl and Graham, listening to their passion around the sport, what they want to bring, how professional they want to make the club, and sort of the outlook over the next 3 years. It was difficult to say no to, if you like. It sort of fitted everything that I was looking for from a coaching perspective, and I believed I could bring a lot to the club to help them develop over the next 3 years. So for me, it was a no-brainer after spending time with both Graham and Carl. Attractions there. Hawks is a big name, long history in playing hockey, and a great barn. So, yeah, why not?
I mean, you touched on it there, really. You're currently the GB women's head coach, so that's obviously a professional setup. So are you finding that similar with the Hawks as well?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the things I can continue to bring in, equipment managers, the way that we sort of perform on a daily basis, the stuff that we have out, the way we treat the players when they come, hopefully it bodes well to allow them to just set themselves up for the day, compete at the best they possibly can. So, yeah.
We're still fairly early on in the season. We've only had 2 league games and 3 cup games under our belt now. But how do you feel it's going so far for the Hawks?
I'm not going to lie. Do you know what? It's been a big learning curve for all of us, to be quite honest. There are certain systems and ways that we want to play and things that we want to adopt from the way that we conduct ourselves on the ice, etc. And it's going to take time. It's a brand new team that we've put together. We've barely had any time together on the ice. We've now trained for a good 5 weeks. We've played a few games, as you just mentioned. We've seen glimpses of what can come from a setup in a team like this, and certainly from the players that we brought in. And I think it's getting some consistency in it. So a little bit more from a training point of view, a little bit more from building that belief that we've got the right atmosphere and the right players around us. And I believe they'll continue to go on and build and build and build. But it takes time to build anything. It was never going to happen overnight.
So were you happy with how the lads bounced back from the 9-2 loss at home to Solihull on Saturday to winning 10-6 away at Nottingham on the Sunday?
Yeah, definitely. We said from the start that it was a character-building game. This was the opportunity to really show us what you had, fighting from the start. we knew Nottingham were going to come out strong, pacey young side that don't give up on anything. And to be fair to them, I think they'll surprise a few teams this year, as they did with us at the start of the game until we got going properly.
So we'll move over to Gary and James now. Just to add to what Mike said there, how do you as players think the season started for the Hawks?
One Snips, I'll let you answer that one.
Well, the start of the season, got a good win against Widnes to start with. Lads all pulled in and buying into what Mike's trying to put across with the team. Who was the second game against?
Yours.
On that weekend, I can't remember. Anyway, both all been buying into what Mike's doing, and I feel like progressing each week. Obviously, we had the disappointment of the game on Saturday, but we were able to bounce back on Sunday against Nottingham. And there's a good feel in the change rooms, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Now, James, you spent most of your playing time at D-side. What brought you to play for the Hawks?
I've always played at D-side. And I say when Mike contacted us in the summer about coming up to Blackburn, it sounded really good what he was planning and what the direction of the club's going in. So I really wanted to give it a go, and I'm glad they have. It's been a great start, great to get involved with the team and meet the players and everyone involved with the club.
Brilliant stuff. And Gary, you've recently joined the Hawks again after a few years away from the game. Firstly, what brought you back to play for the Hawks?
I mean, to be honest, I think having the lockdown and staying in, it kind of, I didn't really miss a game too much before the lockdown, to be honest. But obviously, when you get time to think and you obviously have settled down, had kids and stuff like that, and now it's, we went on in the summer, me and Snip, we went up to just train with the Aces, and as soon as I got back on the ice, it just like, I don't know, maybe like the pressure's gone away from it, or I'm having fun with it. So I was like straight away wanted to get back on and give it a go. I'll be honest, I didn't think I'll be able to probably step up and play the level I am now, but I'm going to give it the best chances of what I can do, get myself fit and stuff. But coming to Blackburn, it was probably a bit of a dream move at the start, like thinking I wouldn't be able to like stay at that standard. But I've come back in. It feels like I've never left the place, to be honest. The crowd that's there, everyone's welcomed me so much from coming back. And it might have been maybe, it's been years, over 5-6 years since I've seen some of them lads in the changing rooms. Obviously, a lot of stuff's changed for the good, I think, of the club. But yeah, no, it's been amazing. I've absolutely loved it.
I was just going to say, how does it compare to your previous spell at Blackburn?
When we first come, I mean, we were like rivals. It was neck and neck, so it was kind of everyone hated Blackburn. The D-side lads hated Blackburn. Blackburn lads hated obviously the D-side lads. But when I first went in, they welcomed me with open arms. The fans were absolutely amazing, and it's like, as I said, coming back now, it's you get the exactly same feeling. I've been to other clubs and trained at other clubs where, you've got to go in there and try and chat to the lads and stuff like that. But there's no better club than Blackburn in the league. People might argue the case and want to jump on with you for maybe a conversation with you, but Blackburn's the best place in the league to be.
I think Carl and Graham would agree with that one as well.
Yeah.
So how have you found the competitiveness so far in the Moral League? I know it was still quite early on in the season, but do you think the standards are of a good standard?
Yeah, I think it's really, really good to say it's changed so much the game since I played. I mean, what Mike's bringing into the team, like trying to put a style to it, stamping his authority on the game, playing systems and stuff like that. I mean, previously when I played, I'm not going to tell you my age, but it was kind of, everything was kind of basic hockey, but we're moving away from that now. It's, it's systems and it's really well organised. And I think Mike's, got to take a lot of credit for that. It's not going to happen straight away. But yeah, I think it's helped me massively jumping back on the ice, knowing what jobs and stuff I've got to do for the team. And hopefully that will be better as soon as I get more educated on it and throughout the season.
Do you think the lack of game time because of the lockdowns, etc., has affected some of the teams and players? Because some teams, including the Hawks, have played in competitions like the Spring Cup and the Three Rivers Cup. So teams like Sheffield and Widnes have had a lot more ice time. So do you think that's affected some of the teams that haven't played?
I wouldn't say so. I say most of the lads that we're playing against now, or the lads at my age, are all retired, or they've stopped playing for some reason. So all these new players going through, they're all younger lads. But no, I wouldn't say so. I think the thing with our Blackburn team now, it's a new change of room. I didn't really understand that when I thought everyone knew each other, but it's going to take time for us all to gel. Everyone's brilliant in there. We've got such a good change of room, and I think that's going to pull us through in good stead coming towards the end of the season. But yeah, I don't think there's no advantage to any other teams. I think a lot of other teams are new or they've got back on the ice, and it feels like sometimes, for me and Snip, it's like you've not been off the ice. Don't know if Snipper would agree with that.
No, it's just got straight back into it. Yeah, as Gary said, it's felt like we've had no time away. So it's good to get back. Yeah.
So this next question is for all of you. It's great to see fans back in the rink on match nights. Do you feel it makes a difference to the players having fans back in the rink as opposed to having no crowds there at all? Do you feel it adds more pressure?
I love it. I mean, the first game I played against Widnes, I felt like maybe the unfittest player there, and the way the fans got behind the team and the adrenaline rush playing in front of them, and every hit or every shot that was going in, you can hear the fans in the stadium. It's absolutely amazing. There's nothing better than being in Blackburn and them type of games. And all I'd say for the fans, for future reference, is keep the noise going. They're they're the most important reasons why we come to the club and why we play, is for the fans. So the noise is going to be there every week, especially in these big games that are coming up now.
How does it affect you, Mike, when you're going into games, having the crowd there?
I think it brings across for me a bit more accountability. So we're not just there to just have a bit of fun on the ice, if you like, and scrimmage around. We're there to try and bring some entertainment to the fans that come and spend their money and time to watch and support the Hawks. An atmosphere makes a huge difference to the way a team performs. I've been there on big match nights before when that place has had over 1,000 people in there, and wow, it doesn't half make some noise. So for me, absolutely, the fans are really, really important to it. The more we get in there and the noisier they are, the more they'll drive that team on.
There's a number of Hawks players that are experienced, including James and Gary. But what do you think of the younger players, the sort of development players, the likes of Logan and Ronnie Grimes, to name a few? How do you see their progression going forward?
Yeah, so for me, it was an important part. We did set out that right at the very, very beginning with both Carl and Graham, when I was trying to build a squad to enable us to compete week in, week out at Cup and League, but with a real good mind on what we need to do in the future and what will support the club. Logan surprised us considerably with his size and the way that he's adapted to the game in a very short space of time. And he's very committed at the minute. There's a lot of stuff that Logan's doing both on and off the ice to help his physique and I suppose athletic ability. Ronnie, likewise, again, I need to get Ronnie some more game time, but there'll be games that he will get that with us, and it will help develop his game. Training with these guys that have played at a decent level and being around them and being driven by them and asking questions and being treated like one of the team is going to help him no end. And I think for Ronnie, I certainly think coming towards the end of the season, we'll start seeing him feature more and more for the Hawks as we progress.
Has there been any players that have really stood out so far? I know we're still very early on in the season, but is there anyone that's impressed you?
Yeah, I could probably chuck out a few, to be honest, but I'll stick to two that have really, really impressed me from the start. And I suppose Jared Dickinson is really one that shows massive ability and someone that can really help drive the game. He reads the game really, really well, moves and acts really, really well. And think it'd be pivotal for us going forward. And the other one's on the call. So James, I knew would fit into this team in a great way. I certainly didn't expect him to be leading the scoring charts already, but knew he would feature quite heavily up there. So, yeah, really pleased. Great move. He's a passionate guy. And again, I know he's going to impact the team over the remainder of the season.
Is there any player stood out to you, like on the ice, James and Gary? Anyone that you've enjoyed playing with so far on your different lines and things?
Well, this weekend, we're talking 10 years ago was the last time I played on the same team as him, but Aaron Davis, it's great to be back on the team with him. He's Blackburn through and through, and he's been here for so long. It was nice to get on the ice with him this weekend and play on the line with him, and see he got a few goals on Sunday. He's a big part of the club, and he's getting closer to that target he's aiming for. As an all-time goal scorer, which is good. All the lads on the team have been brilliant, and someone who wasn't there this weekend is Jacob. What a player he is. He's so quick, and his skill is brilliant. Just sometimes you just sit back and just watch and like, wow. Yeah. So yeah, there's so many players there that you could talk about. So just look forward to the rest of the season with them all, to be honest.
Is there anyone for you, Gary, that stood out that you've enjoyed playing alongside?
To be honest, I think watching every player, just being on the bench, I'm absolutely buzzing when you see every line going out, and I think every player in the team offers us something different. From your first line players there coming in, some of the moves that they pull on like 1v1s and stuff like that, it's great to watch. But even like some of the lads on my line, the work rate and the passion that's in them, everyone, they've all done really well. But we will have standouts in games, of course, but I think every game there's always been a different player who's stepped up somewhere. I would say James Parsons, but no. I'd really be a bit biased, wouldn't it?
Not going to be doing that, Barry, is he?
Yeah, no, the younger lads are, it's good kind of, like you've got Jacob coming through, Logan coming through, and like us being like some of the older players now is to kind of, we're still giving them advice, even though they're flying at the moment, but giving them just little bits of advice that we've obviously picked up on in the past, things that might just help them out in a game when it gets a little bit tougher, or I feel like, we can also help them out as well.
James, you mentioned it there, playing with Aaron previously at D-side. There's quite a few Hawks players and ex-Hawks players that played for D-side. I'm trying to think of them. I think Rick Hughes was one. Tom King.
Yeah, Tom King.
Sean
Day. Yeah.
Dave Clancy.
Fragger was there, wasn't he, for a bit. Tappy. Adam Fuller. The list goes on, to be fair. There's been a lot of switches through the teams over the years. Yeah,
I think even Ollie Lomax played for the Finch Freeze for one game, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he come and guest for us in one game. To be fair, he did a good job. Great lad.
There was that charity game that we were involved in at D-side once, and me and Gary got told we were going to be on a line with Bobby Haig. We were waiting in the warm up, and apparently he got stuck in traffic and it turned up.
Yeah, but we
were waiting for him. Yeah.
I'm just remembering when Aaron came back to the Hawks after that spell with D-side, and Graham, one of the owners, was going to start an official petition to get rid of the red helmets, because there was quite a few that came back, the likes of Tom and Rick, and they stood out because they had red helmets as opposed to the black ones, and I remember he didn't like it.
I thought they were nice, the red helmets, to be honest.
I was going to say some of them, but then a bit.
Yeah, I went wrong that bit.
It's past 8 o'clock. You're all right, don't worry.
Yeah, mate. Gary loves a red helmet, mate. Good old Bazza.
Oh, you thrown me off now. Right. Right. This one's probably maybe more for Graham and Carl, really, but I'll ask you, Mike. Is there any progression with the affiliation with Manchester Storm? We've currently got Jacob on a two-way, but is there any plans to get any more players on two-ways or any Hawks players to step up?
Yeah, I suppose that's always been on the cards, but we need to continue to build that relationship. I've certainly spoken to Finner a number of times. I went to their induction day, been invited down to the training sessions and things like that. So trying to support that affiliation as much as we possibly can. I think when we get the game shape right and the systems right, it's easy to integrate players into a great team that's firing on all cylinders. So for me, we've still work to do in the foundations of building the team that we've got in the background. But yeah, continue to work very strongly with the Storm and really appreciate the affiliation.
Now we've got a couple of weeks off, and then we're back on October the 16th at home to our long-standing rivals, the Billingham Stars. What are you expecting from them in that game?
It's never going to change when you play Billingham. You know you're going to get a team that goes from start to finish. They never give up in games. It'll be physical, I've no doubt, and they'll certainly try and make the mark very early within the game. I think the break comes just at the right time for us. So we'll get some more competing now. We get a few weeks of skating together without interruption. So for me, we should be firing on all cylinders. I'm really looking forward to that game to see how we've progressed and to see what that compete level continues to be.
James, what are you expecting from that game against Billingham? Obviously, you've played them a few times at that level. So,
yeah, well, every time I've played against Billingham in the past, it's been a tough game. You know, coming out with bumps and bruises out of every game. You know you're going to be in a physical battle against them. You know, they work really hard, and I'm looking forward to playing against them for Blackburn, because I know how big the rivalry is between the two teams. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
What plans and systems are you looking to put in place, Mike, going into that game?
I suppose that would be giving away the game plan publicly and on air, wouldn't it? So, much the same of what you're seeing, but to get that consistency and the compete across the lines, I think that's the development part for us next. The systems are working really well. We understand the breakouts. We understand the zonal coverage that we put in play, and it is driving that consistency in each line. Don't forget, we've had a few games already from a I wouldn't say a pre-season point of view, but we've had some games now over consistent weeks. What we haven't had is the same team from one week to another, as we've tried different people in different areas and different roles and tried to roll all of that big squad that we've got through the first part of the season. It'll get a bit tougher. People are playing for places now. That's really clear in the dressing room. We've got a 22-man squad that's pretty big, but I can't play 22 players every game. So people are playing for places.
What's your opinion on the discipline so far with the Hawks? I'm just looking at the penalty minutes now in the Morally Conference 34 and in the Cup 22, which seems quite light for the Hawks, to be honest, of previous years.
Yeah, I hadn't picked up on that until yesterday when I was going over the review of the game and some of the previous games. It's not a new style that we're bringing in. I think we've had some lenient refs. I think you'll have seen we were particularly physical in the Nottingham game, and we were called for quite a few shots there. It didn't flow both ways. And I think the Hawks have probably been penalised a touch with that at home, where some of those penalties have been called against us, but not equally against the teams that have played. But look, you play better with 5 men on the ice. So trying to keep the full squad and keep everyone playing and out of the bin means we're more competitive and stronger. And of course, look, the Hawks are always going to be a physical presence whenever they come up against any team. And I don't expect that to change, and it's not something I'd want to change.
It probably helps with our all-time penalty minutes leader, Ollie Lomax, being on the bench as opposed to being on the ice.
Yeah, he's been a great cheerleader so far, and hope it continues.
Which out of the teams you've faced so far, James and Gary, would you say has been the most difficult challenge you've found, or maybe some more surprising team?
I think I've got to say Sheffield. Really, it's been the games against Sheffield. They knew they were good. Got a lot of good players there, but playing against them, you feel like you're doing well, and before you know it, you're a few goals down behind them, and they're a good team, and they just keep going and going and going, and before you know it, the game's gone. They just don't stop working. Say that. So I'd probably say Sheffield for me. So we've played them the most so far, and so we think we've got another 3 games against them. So we'll see how we get on then.
What about you, Gary? Which team have you found the most surprising coming back playing against?
I'm probably looking at the Solihull game, obviously, because when we used to play against them, they were a lot more probably a physical outlet. But the way they skated on Saturday, the way they moved the puck. Maybe we didn't play too well and we let them do it, but I thought they were really, really good and had some good skaters on the team. I think every game's unknown until we play against them. So I think once we start settling in and play every team, you'll kind of know what they're about. But, it's kind of going in a little bit blind at the minute. for me.
Just looking back at the recent results, and the Solway games are always ones that stick out for me because I think they're one of, if not the most consistent team in the league and have been for a very long time. We ended up losing that one, sadly, 5-4, didn't we? But in that game, you got a hat trick, didn't you, James?
Yes, yeah. That was, we were so unlucky in that game. The way it ended with 2 seconds left, we definitely deserved something out of that game. But from that game, I feel like we got a lot of belief that competing against Solway and teams like that we're going to do well this season.
And how did you find that one, Mike? I don't think you were at that game, were you? And as a head coach, it must have been very frustrating.
I mean, as you'd know, I missed that one as I was away with the Great Britain senior women's team on our final training camp in preparation for the Olympic qualifiers. So watching back on the videos, and I think Carl and Graham would both agree, I was spitting feathers when I saw some of the calls towards the end of the game that I thought influenced it. But being quite honest, I know Grubby, you're always going to come up against a well-drilled, well-organised side that will compete from end to end and compete till the very last second in the game. And I suppose that showed it as they did compete to the very end of that game and managed to sneak the points off us. But I suppose the pleasing thing is we competed from end to end. We showed that we can stick with one of the biggest and strongest sides in this league. And I think you'll see a lot more of it as that consistency starts to build.
I suppose the perfect way to round it all off is to ask you how you all see the rest of the season going and your aims for the season as both a team and if you have any individual targets.
So I suppose for me, there was targets that we set out at the beginning of the year. This is a journey over 3 years that we want to establish and build a club that competes week in, week out, and really puts on some great entertainment for the fans that come and watch Blackburn. For the remainder of the year, we certainly set targets that we're going to finish in the top half of the league and the cup, and we're going to show that we can compete. And hopefully we're going to continue to build upon the consistency that allows us to do so. So I think we've got a great mix of players around us. We've got a great management team. We've got great support staff. I think everything's in place to allow this boat to sail really, really well. So I'm confident that we can continue to push it.
What about you, James or Gary? Who wants to go next? No pressure.
Who snips, rock, paper, scissors?
I've got a rock here. What have you got?
Go on, then I'll go first.
What did you have? What did you have first?
I pulled the dynamite out, so I won that one. So mine were probably my targets. I mean, realistically, 3-4 weeks ago, I didn't even think I'd be playing hockey again. So I've kind of, in a way, already hit a target that I didn't think I'd get to. But I mean, I want to try and just take a different type of element in there to obviously, enjoy it. The most important thing with the fans, and just try and enjoy every moment I'm there. Even being in the change room with the lads and just being, hopefully from my side, just bring a bit of positivity in there and, have a bit of fun with it. If I can get a couple of points on the way and chip in, I'll do whatever I can for the team. But yeah, I know my targets I know what realistic targets are. I'm not going to be a big point scorer by the end of the season, I don't think. I think my legs are already gone by now. But yeah, I just want to have a bit of fun and, really enjoy it, really enjoy the season, really enjoy every moment of it. Go on, Snip, I should fall asleep.
For me, it's just, after, like a lot of people, having such a long time away from playing during the pandemic, it's just great to be back playing, enjoying playing the game again. I say it now, being up at Blackburn, got a great club there, the players and just everyone involved in the team. So I'm just looking forward to, each week the team's building in confidence. I'm just looking forward to seeing where we end up in the season. I feel like we're going to do really well. As I say, just excited to see where we end up.
Right, brilliant. Thank you for taking the time to come on this episode, guys. It's been a pleasure. Have a nice couple of weekends off and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Very much.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers.
Hawks Talk.
A great insight there from Mike, James and Gary on the start of the Hawks season so far, and hopefully we'll have them back on for a future episode. We spoke about it in the interview. The next Hawks game is at Blackburn Ice Arena on the 16th of October against one of our long-standing rivals, the Billingham Stars. It's going to be a great game of hockey and always one to look out for. Tickets are available now if you head over to blackburnhawks.com or on the Blackburn Hawks app to get yours. Make sure you do not miss that game. Honestly, it's going to be fantastic. We've also got some jerseys still available for you to sponsor your favourite player and lots of Hawks merchandise on the website or the app. We've also got some new fashion ranges coming very soon, so don't forget to take a look at those. Thank you once again for tuning into this episode of Hawks Talk. Don't forget to subscribe on whichever platform you're listening on. We want to get you, the Hawks fans, involved as much as possible. So if you have any guests you'd like us to have on the show, any questions for future shows, just send us an email, hawkstalk@blackburnhawks.com. Right, that's all we have time for, and we'll see you on October 16th. Goodbye for now.
Hawks Talk.